There was a lot of talk previously about AI taking our jobs, right? A lot of people spoke about that. And then what a lot of us realized is actually AI is not taking our jobs, at least not yet, but it is changing them. So for example, software developers, they no longer need to really code. What they need to do is do better.
For any CIO or CTO listening at the moment, what does it look like to turn an existing business process into some agent that they can do? Are you able to give us an example of that?
Yeah, it's actually really cool. So if you think about it, a lot of enterprises today, they have various processes that are either automated with RPA, with robotic process automation, or they may be done manually. And these processes, they happen a lot. So think about something that is...
How do you see the future of like the 10-person unicorn, the 1-person unicorn, 0-person companies?
They will happen for sure. But does it matter, actually? Like, if it's 10 people and 5,000 agents, is it still 10 people? Like, why do we even care? Other than the fact that we're like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Isn't a business more a matter of how much money goes in, how much money comes out?
The way we work is being rewritten, not someday, right now. Welcome to Agentic Operations. I'm Kale.
And I'm Kai. This is where we dig into the philosophy of AI and talk to the people building automated systems that work with humans, not just around them. Now let's get back to the episode.
All right. So you help enterprises enable AI with their data. Can you give us a little intro about yourself and tell us a little bit about what that means?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Yoni Leitersdorf. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Solid, second-time founder. So I had a network security automation startup previously called Indeni that I sold a couple of years ago. I'm technical in my background, but over the years became more business oriented. Married, 3 kids, 2 dogs. They're both on my sides as we're recording this. You might see their tails wagging around. So what is Solid about? So basically, enterprises, big enterprises, so tens of thousands of employees and more, they're sitting on massive amounts of data, structured data in their data warehouses, in their databases, in various systems. And that data is gold, and they know it. And so today they try to extract it using BI and various analyses that they run. But what they're realizing now is that AI can help them extract that gold much faster, much, much, much better. But the challenge is that if you just connect ChatGPT or Copilot or Claude straight to your data warehouses, they get lost because the data warehouses are messy. There's a lot of history, decades of work in there, and AI just can't figure it out. So you can't get what you need. And so we built a software platform that connects into the customer's existing stack, their existing data warehouses, their existing transformation languages, their existing BI and other sources of information. And our platform learns the context, the business context, the terminology, the language that they use, and then learns how they measure their metrics and how they measure their KPIs, how do they use data, and then the full structure of the data all the way down to sampling the data and understanding what's in every single column, and then exposing that to AI in a way that AI understands. So what that means is now if you have these initiatives around agents that you want to build that will automate processes and use the underlying data that the organization has, our platform is what enables that. Without us, it will take forever to get agents off the ground. And with us, it goes way, way, way faster.
I love that. For any CIO or CTO listening at the moment, what does it look like to turn an existing business process into something agent that they can do? Are you able to give us an example of that?
Yeah, it's actually really cool. So if you think about it, a lot of enterprises today, they have various processes that are either automated with RPA, with robotic process automation, or they may be done manually. And these processes, they happen a lot. So think about something that is not too long, but happens a lot, happens repeatedly a lot, and requires data and information from multiple places. So imagine that a person is doing it right now and they need to go and open a BI report or run a SQL query or go and access a couple systems. And there's a high level flow to their process. Those are processes that are great to automate. Basically, you use an agentic platform like Copilot Studio, which many companies have because they have the Microsoft license, or agentic platforms made by other vendors. And then you can literally take the process and articulate it to the agent in natural language, explain to the agent what you want it to do. And then in order to give that agent access to your data, all you need to do is have Solid connected into that agent over something called MCP. And that's it. And it works. And the beauty of it is that you don't need technical people to build an agent. You just have your business people who are thinking about business processes. Maybe they're working for customer service or supply chain or sales or marketing or whatever, but it's business people who are thinking about a business process and wanting to automate it, and they can just articulate it to the agent, and then they can go and test it and so forth. So once you have the main elements in place, building the next agent becomes really easy, and also people really enjoy doing it because they're basically automating the things that they don't really want to do anymore.
Along those lines, you've mentioned a new role that's coming out, the semantics engineer.
Hmm.
So, like you described in the past, like the analytics engineer didn't really exist 10 years ago. And
Hmm.
now, like you'd be remiss if you didn't see it in the company. So,
Yep.
how does the semantic engineer play a role in this future? And what do you see organizations doing to uh, add that into their chart?
Yeah, so think about what AI is doing to us. So there's a lot of talk. There was a lot of talk previously about AI taking our jobs, right? A lot of people spoke about that. And then what a lot of us realized is actually AI is not taking our jobs, at least not yet, but it is changing them. So for example, software developers, they no longer need to really code. What they need to do is do better design, better architecture, better articulation of what they want to build, and then better testing of it or better instruction of how to test it. So software development is changing. People are now needing to understand how to leverage AI to do the core work of software development, the actual writing of the code, but also how to instruct AI in a way that would make it more successful. So that role is changing. And just like the software development role is changing, there are roles on the data and analytics side that are changing. I believe that by 2026, no one is going to be writing SQL queries anymore. You're just not, it's not going to be necessary. AI can write all the SQL queries for you. It doesn't mean you don't need to understand SQL query, maybe sometimes, but nobody's going to need to write them. And some of these roles on the analytics side are going to transition to enablement of AI, helping AI do a much better job, helping the AI agents be successful, helping chat with your data be successful. And for AI to be successful with your data, it needs to understand the structure of the data and the context of it and how it all relates together, what is called semantics. And so we really believe that there's going to be semantic engineers. So people who until now were analysts and were, they were talking to the business, understanding requirements, running SQL queries and so forth. And these people are going to now transition to helping the AI understand the semantics. So helping the AI understand what data to use for what questions that could come in. And it's going to be a full life cycle. So these semantic engineers are going to need to make sure that the right semantic models are created. Semantic models are essentially units of information around business questions. So making sure that the right models are created, making sure that they're accurate, testing them automatically, usually, updating them as things change. So essentially, semantic engineers are going to be responsible for these things that enable AI. Transition from the day to day answering the same question for the hundredth time, writing the same SQL query for the hundredth time, to I'm now enabling AI. The time that I'm investing is going to result in massive effects across the business because the full business is going to be able to leverage AI a lot better, a lot faster with our data. So that role is going to become center stage, just like DBT invented analytics engineers. And over time, people realize, yes, that is necessary. The same thing is going to happen with semantic engineers.
At risk of getting philosophical here, semantics are flimsy.
Yes.
Like to different people, it means different things. How do you connect those dots to expose what it means to ELT all the way down to the people doing the business process?
Yeah. So the fact that certain terms mean different things to different people is always going to be true. There were attempts in the past to try to get alignment on specific terms and specific concepts and KPIs and metrics. Um, I think that is never going to be successful because there are some things that are just different. Like take the term revenue or customer count. They will always be different between your finance department and your sales department. Or, on the customer count side between your sales department and your customer success department. Why? Because they view the world differently, and it's okay that they view the world differently. It's fine. What you need to do is to make sure that first of all, within them, their definitions are aligned. So let's say within customer success or within sales or within supply chain, their terms are correctly aligned inside. You also need to help them understand when they're using the same term for different things. Like for example, if a finance person comes in and they look at a customer service report, they need to understand that whatever revenue or customer count that they're seeing there is not the same thing that they defined. So they need to understand those gaps. And then the AI needs to understand the gaps, because the AI needs to understand that the same term can mean different things. It depends on who's asking or in what context they're asking. Because if let's say you're an agent working on a marketing process, then for you, customer count means one thing. And if you're an agent working on, finance processes, then for you, customer account means something else. So just like for people, it means different things. It needs to mean different things for agents. So the underlying technology, and in our case, in Solid, we enable that, but the underlying technology needs to understand that the same term can mean different things. And therefore, it needs to understand who's asking the question before it picks how to calculate the term. So it's solvable. Um, but I think we need to approach it with a very realistic lens versus, hoping that we can all align on the same terms. That will never happen.
Fascinating. In the enterprise space, I tend to see a hesitation when implementing AI on the access that it might have. Um, Keeping that human in the loop step in a lot of cases. You
Mhm.
mentioned SQL queries becoming less and less written by human. Do you see a trend towards less human in the loop in AI in the future?
We will get there. Um, I think that, we need to build confidence in AI over time. I'll tell you a story. Okay. So this Saturday, I'm going to a fundraiser that our elementary school is organizing. And they told us that we need to dress up like Studio 54, which is the, 70s, 80s New York place that all the celebrities would go to. Like, okay, I don't know what to do with that. So my wife obviously jumped into this and went into ChatGPT and said, okay, this is the event we're going to. My husband and I need to dress up for Studio 54. Give me some ideas. So it gave some ideas. And then she's like, okay, my husband's going to be Mick Jagger and I'm going to be Bianca. And obviously I look like Mick Jagger, right?
Right.
And so ChatGPT, and she added a photo of us. So ChatGPT is like, okay. And it came back with recommendations. And part of it was, okay, Yoni is your husband. Yoni is going to wear these things. And I found them on these websites, the Asus website, the Zara website, Adidas. Like I found these items and and we dug into it and it did a really good job, but not perfect. Like, for example, one of the items it found is actually out of stock. So my point with this story is that AI really helped us. It saved a massive amount of time, but it's not yet at a point where we could just give it free run and say, yeah, go ahead. You know my size, you know my weight, you know my waist, you know everything. Just go and order these things. It's not yet there. It will get there, I'm sure. It's not yet there. So going back to your question about enterprises and agents, we need to go there step by step. I won't say baby steps because nobody has time for baby steps. And with AI, you got to run. But I will say that you just need to run with some consciousness and some awareness. And so the human in the loop will be there for a while. I do think that over time there will be confidence in certain agents, certain technologies, certain processes, and then the human will slowly be removed from being directly in the loop to being more of an oversight and looking at, okay, we took a process, we automated it, we removed the human in the loop, we ran it 1,000 times this week. These are the stats of how well it worked. I think it's going to be more of an oversight role. We're just going to get there over time.
Yeah, something you mentioned in there, organizations need to run. Uh, you've mentioned in the past that there's a pragmatic reset that's occurring,
Mm-hmm.
and organizations who delay AI because they're not seeing ROI might be putting themselves in a tough position.
Mm-hmm.
So, what kind of metrics should they be looking for as they run those 1,000 iterations to determine if it's working the way that they want or not?
Yeah. So I recently interviewed someone on my podcast, and he said AI is just a golf club. It's not the goal, it's a tool. And I agree with that fully. Organizations need to think about, we're not doing AI for AI's sake. We're doing AI for business outcomes. We want to improve EBITDA, increase our profits, increase our revenues, reduce costs, things like that. That's what AI is here for. It's not just, you can't do AI for AI's sake. That's the first thing. Secondly, you don't have the time, especially public companies, but also other companies that are large. there's a lot of pressure on them to improve their stats, to improve the revenue per employee, to improve their growth rates, to improve their margins. Now, the easiest way to grow revenue per employee is fire your employees because it's obviously the denominator. But that only holds for so long, and eventually the business still gets stuck. And I think that it should orient a lot more towards how do we drive a lot more growth. Now, once you're oriented in that direction, then you can say, okay, the processes that I'm going to AIify or agentify need to be the ones that impact revenue, that grow revenue, improve EBITDA, et cetera. Those are the ones I need to focus on. Once I have that focus in mind, now I need to run because the market is expecting results fast. We had the SaaS apocalypse a couple of months ago, still happening. Massive pressure on SaaS companies. Why? Because everybody thinks that you can just vibe code a SaaS company, which I completely disagree with. But the same apocalypse is going to happen to every company that is not adopting AI fast enough. Like I'm talking about financials, banks, and insurance companies, healthcare companies, retailers. If they don't adopt AI to accelerate their growth, they're going to be pounded on their stock price and in other places. So they have to run faster. I think more and more people are starting to realize they don't have a choice.
Yeah, and you've wrote that you cannot buy an agentic future, you have to architect it as well.
Yeah.
And to the point of the SaaS apocalypse, you are also a SaaS. So how
Mhm.
does that look for you for the future of SaaS? Which ones are at risk and which ones are laying the new foundations like yourself?
So I think what's been discussed on the SaaS apocalypse is that um, the whole concept of seat-based pricing is going to go away. Seat-based pricing basically means you're charging based on the number of people who have access to the software. That is going to go away and it's going to be replaced with more outcome-based approach. So what are the results that we're actually delivering? For example, if we talk about the workflows that get agentified, you can pay per completed workflow. So let's say today the workflow costs you $20 to complete by a human doing it. And you can instead agentify it, then maybe we're willing to spend $1 for per workflow instead of the 20 you were paying the human. That's already a massive improvement. Now, does it mean you let go of the human? No, you can do other things with them maybe, but that's kind of the way to think about it. So when you're talking about not buying your way into that agentic future and rather architecting it, it's actually thinking about how are things going to look like? What are companies going to need to show 3 years from now? Everything we talked about with the revenue per employee, et cetera. So what are they going to need to show in 3 years from now? How do they get there? And what is the pricing model that best aligns with that? And I truly think that the pricing model that best aligns with it is the one that ties to them seeing the value, whether it's the workflows completed or amount of data leverage or whatever it could be. But it needs to tie to that a lot more. I think the seat based pricing is gonna go away over time. Um, that's the direction things are going.
Interesting. With that change and also what's the pricing, the speed of delivery, how do you see this affecting the startup space over the next 20 years? Companies popping up super quickly.
20 years. I'm going to be 63. Maybe I'll be retired. My kids are going to be past college. I have grandkids. 20 years. Oh my god. Um, I don't know where it's going to be in 3 years.
Interesting.
I have a direction. Like I know. So we have this compass, this vision, this true north star, where we say AI is going to change everything. Companies are going to want to use their data for that, and they need a solution for that. That's what's driving Solid, right? Like how's it going to look like from a feature and functionality perspective? God knows. But we have what we have today, and we keep building as things are moving. So 20 years, no idea. But I'll say this. So this is my second startup. My first startup, you sort of had a linear path. You said, okay, here's a problem we're going to solve. We're going to build a solution. We're going to sell it to many people. We're going to make money. It's like, it's the meme from South Park. What was it? It was like something and then question marks and then profit, right? That thing,
Yeah.
that meme. So, but in the past startup world, it was kind of linear. Okay. Problem, solution, you build it, you sell it, make money, sell the company, do it again. Now, the market keeps changing, the technology keeps changing, the rules of physics keep changing under you, and it feels like you're running on a treadmill and somebody else keeps hitting the up arrow while you're running. And so you have two options: run faster or just fly off the treadmill. And that's very unique. I've never experienced that before. I enjoy it. Hopefully I don't get a heart attack on the way, but it's very, very different to what how startups behaved even a couple of years ago.
Yeah, for any like business leaders today, where do they start when they are looking at a business process that could be automated using agentic AI? Is it the quickest return on value? Is it whatever's just the biggest pain? Where does that process start?
So you start from something that is valuable and easier to automate, less complexity, because you're looking for a quick win, but you're looking for a real win. So you don't want a quick win with a process that nobody cares about. And even if you're very successful at automating, nobody is going to be like, oh, great, you did something amazing. You don't want the lukewarm response. So you want something that if people see that you automated it, they'll be like, wow, that's insane. Like that's something that is so important to our company that the fact that it's now automated is incredible. But at the same time, you don't want to be too complicated because then you easily just drown in the complexity of doing the pilot and building. So you need something that can match those two requirements. And they're there. Like there are processes that are happening every single day in your company, in your business, in your portion of the business that are material to the business, but also not super complicated. I'd start from that.
And regarding tackling these processes, oftentimes you end up creating a digital employee of sorts, and not to get into the identity space, but get into the general organizational chart space again. How do these digital employees look to you as we go forward? Are they going to be a companion to everybody? Uh, how do you bubble up that HR data so that maybe the report for someone's performance is aligned to it? What do you see in that space?
It's a great philosophical question. So, um, I'll give a few examples. First of all, my wife chats with ChatGPT a lot verbally. And when she tells me about her conversations with chat, she treats it as if it's another human. Like she's like, and he said this, and he did that, and he told me this. And when she started doing that, I was like, whoa, that's weird. And then it's normal. And okay, he chat is he in her case. Oh, sometimes it's she, by the way, because she did pick a female voice for the thing, but she refers to it as a human. And it gets you thinking because a lot of your interactions today are with people that it doesn't really matter that they're people. And I know this sounds weird what I'm saying, but even at work, if you work at a big enterprise, let's say 10,000, 20,000 employees, most of the people that you interact with, you're never going to see face to face. You see them on Zoom, you're never going to shake their hand. You're never going to hug them if you're allowed. You're never going to eat across from them. The whole human part of the human interaction is not going to be there. So if AI gets really, really good at mimicking the human interaction on that part, and then is really good at responding to your Slacks, doing the work you're asking it to, et cetera, then you don't care if it's AI or human. And I think that AI is getting closer and closer to that point. So going back to your question, you're going to have digital employees that to some extent, they're just like regular employees. They get paid differently, right? So instead of a salary, they get maybe paid tokens and credits or whatever it could be. They do get performance reviews. You do performance reviews for Cursor, just like you would for humans, but maybe the structure is a bit different. So they're going to be very much there. There are going to be a lot of entities over Slack and Teams that you're going to be interacting with that are not going to be human, and that's fine. And I think we should not be afraid of that. We should accept that that's part of what reality is going to look like. And then HR processes, et cetera, will need to evolve accordingly. But that's just going to be the nature of things. That's the future.
That's a fascinating point. To be paying an agent potentially in tokens or whatever it may be, but that really would come from a human. Like, did the human assess the workflow was done correctly and then reward the agent like you already do with machine learning anyways?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And by the way, AI can also assess AI's work, right?
That is true.
You can build AI that assesses AI. And so it's able to give these tokens. There's been experiments around if I tell AI to optimize for something, let's say I wanted to optimize for making the most amount of money possible within a specific framework, it will try to do it. Sometimes better, sometimes worse. It will get better over time. But imagine you were building, like you had a cloud-based agent, and you had a set of tasks you wanted it to do. And you said, I need you to optimize for these parameters. And if you optimize for them, you're going to get rewarded in these ways. It will do it. It will go in that direction. Does it actually care about the reward? Not really. We don't think, because it's not human and so forth, but it will optimize in that direction.
How do you see the future of like the 10-person unicorn, the 1-person unicorn, 0-person companies?
Yeah, those will happen.
Yeah.
They will happen for sure. But does it matter actually? Like if it's 10 people and 5,000 agents, is it still 10 people? Does it matter? Like why do we even care? Other than the fact that we're like, oh wow, that's really cool. Why does it even matter? Isn't a business more a matter of how much money goes in, how much money comes out, the rate of growth, et cetera? Why does it matter how many people are there?
I think the fascinating piece to me is in between the money coming in and money going out, there's like a tangible value of some sort that humans agree is valuable.
Hmm.
Whether you add in robotics into the mix and you have humanoid robots with agentic backends to make decisions in the real world. I
Hmm.
mean, most factories are already automated anyways for
Yep.
steel production.
Yeah.
But now we're doing it to our minds in a sense. And I think that's what gets people interested
Yeah.
personally.
Well, actually, you gave a great example. 100 years ago, factories were full of people. Now you have factories where there's like one guy. Um, Now, for you and I, this seems normal, right? We're like, oh yeah, of course, because they got all these machines. I'm sure there was a point in history where people were like, wow, that's amazing. And people were thinking, oh God, all these people are going to lose their jobs because we're automating the factories and we should go against it and all that. Like, there was a point in history, and I don't know what year it was, but it happened. But now to us, this seems normal that there's one dude in a factory making cars or whatever. So just like it seems normal to us in 10, 20 years, 30 years, it's going to seem normal to people that, yeah, there are businesses with one person or zero, and they're generating millions and millions of dollars.
Yep.
It's very fascinating. As you mentioned, the connection between the mind and AI, and we have these like thought leaders who are feeding their books, their content into an AI,
Hmm.
and creating a model that's essentially them. It's interesting to think about in the future, the workplace, if we can feed it AI, just more and more data on us, like how much of even someone who's teaching someone a job, like if you can just have that person's brain into an AI to teach more and more people, it's fascinating to think about just the transformation of teaching people and information, how that can work out.
Yeah. You're like, imagine somebody took, so in my work, most of my communication is digital, right? Because I work from home. So Zoom, Slack, emails, Monday board, whatever, all that stuff. Just take all of that, put it into an AI that is big enough to work with it. Will it not be able to replicate me for work?
Just about.
It's everything I do.
Would you, I mean, even this podcast right now, there's something that human element, there's that final piece of human trust. So, how do you see trust evolving given everything you just said?
Well, do you know that I'm human? Maybe I'm an AI renderer of myself.
Oh no.
Maybe I uploaded an AI render of myself into Riverside. Like, okay, technology is not exactly there, but it will get there.
You might have a younger brother onto something here.
Yeah, I do. I do. I very much do. Um, but it's like, yeah, I mean, obviously, okay, what does it mean for us humans and relationship and all that stuff? I understand that. But, does it matter? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe things need to be different. Maybe actually, AI does a lot of stuff we don't want to do today eventually. And then we get actually more time to spend with our loved ones. Those are people we actually are physically seeing day to day and engaging with them, etc. And on the work side, we have our avatars handling stuff for us.
Yep. I think you said it well earlier. Just because today it's weird, 10 years from now it's going to be the new normal and it's just going to keep happening. So you can either stay on the treadmill and sprint with it or fly off.
Yeah, and that's I think an important message. If somebody's listening to this podcast and is not yet very deep into AI, they need to be, because if they are still in the workforce and they're not deep into AI, they will have a severe problem as time progresses. And I think a lot of people don't realize this yet. I say this message a lot to people. And they're like, well, ChatGPT wasn't accurate about this thing. And I asked Grok this question and I got that. And it was like, you guys don't get it. It's going to replace most of what you do, unless you're in the physical world fixing cars and stuff like that. And even that is going to be made better over time. But if you're a knowledge worker, um, you got to get deep into it. If you're not, you're putting your career at real risk.
Absolutely. For anybody listening today, where can they find you on socials for Solid?
So LinkedIn, I'm very vocal on LinkedIn. I don't have any of the other socials. So I don't have Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, etc. It's just LinkedIn. Then we have our website, getsolid.ai. So GETSOLID.ai, getsolid.ai. My own email is Yoni, YONIL, Yoni L, at getsolid.ai. Always happy to, unless you're trying to sell me something. But if you need my help, I'm happy to help. Uh, um, yeah, that's where I run around sharing my weird opinions on things.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It was a great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.